The alarm bells rang across the UES horizon as Commander Jake Morrison rushed to the bridge. His heart pounded as he stared at the massive shapes appearing on the view screen. 12 enormous ships hung in space near Jupiter, each one larger than Earth's biggest city. They looked like they were made of crystal and light, bending the stars behind them in ways that hurt to look at. "Sir, they're trying to communicate," said Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station. Her voice shook a little. "The signal is coming through on multiple frequencies at once." Jake nodded and straightened his uniform. "Put it through to the main screen." The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge take a step back. The creature looked somewhat like a human, but taller and thinner. Its skin had a blue-silver color that seemed to shift in the light. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English, though its mouth moved differently than the sounds it made. "Greetings, inhabitants of the third planet. I am High Admiral Velthar of the Zephyrian Empire. We have been watching your species for some time. It is remarkable that you have managed to reach this far into space with such basic technology," Jake felt his jaw tighten at the word basic, but he kept his voice steady. "This is Commander Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Horizon. We welcome peaceful contact with your people." Velthar's expression was hard to read, but something like amusement flickered across his face. "How charming. Your species shows promise despite your limitations. We have arranged for your leaders to meet us at the neutral station you call Meridian. There we will discuss how the Zephyrian Empire might help guide your people toward a more advanced future." The signal cut off before Jake could respond. He turned to Foster, who was already working at her console. "Get me a secure channel to Earth Command. Tell them we need Captain Rodriguez out here immediately." 3 days later, Jake stood in the docking bay of Meridian Station as the Earth delegation arrived. Captain Lisa Rodriguez stepped off the transport ship with her usual calm confidence. She was one of Earth's best diplomats, known for staying cool under pressure. Behind her came Dr. Ben Carter, Earth's top technology expert, and a small team of scientists and military advisors. "Commander Morrison," Rodriguez said, shaking his hand. "What's our situation?" "They're polite enough, but they talk to us like we're children who just learned to walk," Jake replied. "They keep mentioning our primitive technology and how they want to help us become more civilized." Rodriguez nodded. "We'll see about that. Where are we meeting them?" The main conference room on Meridian Station had been designed for meetings between different human colonies. Now it hosted the first diplomatic contact between humans and an alien species. The Zephyrian delegation arrived exactly on time, led by High Admiral Velthar and 3 other officials. As they entered, Jake noticed something strange about how they moved. They seemed to glide rather than walk, and their clothes or equipment made no sound at all. Everything about them suggested technology far beyond what humans had achieved. "Welcome to Meridian Station," Rodriguez said, standing to greet them. "We're honored by this first meeting between our peoples." Velthar inclined his head slightly. "The honor is ours, Captain Rodriguez. It is not often we encounter a species that has managed interstellar travel so early in their development cycle." Dr. Carter leaned forward slightly. "Early in our development cycle?" "Oh yes," said one of the other Zephyrians, a female with markings along her arms that seemed to glow softly. "Most species require several million years to develop basic space travel after achieving intelligence. Your species has done so in mere thousands. It suggests significant potential, despite your current technological limitations." Jake saw Carter's hands clench under the table, but the scientist kept his voice level. "We're always interested in learning about new technologies and methods." "Excellent," Velthar said. "Perhaps a demonstration would be helpful. Officer Kethara, would you show our hosts the matter compiler?" The female Zephyrian placed a small device on the table. It looked like a cube made of the same crystal material as their ships. She touched one side, and the cube began to hum softly. Within seconds, a perfect apple appeared on the table next to it. "The device converts base matter into any desired form," Kethara explained. "Food, tools, equipment, even complex electronics. Your species still relies on growing food and manufacturing objects separately. This is much more efficient." Rodriguez picked up the apple and examined it. It looked and felt completely real. Impressive. How does it work? The principles would be difficult to explain with your current understanding of physics, Velthar said. But do not worry. Once your people join the Zephyrian Empire as a protected species, we will provide you with such devices and teach you to use them properly. Protected species? Jake asked. Of course. Your people show promise, but you are clearly not ready to handle advanced technology on your own. The Empire has guided hundreds of younger species toward civilization. In exchange for our protection and technology, you would contribute what resources and knowledge you can to the greater good of the Empire. Rodriguez and Carter exchanged glances. What kind of contributions would be expected? Nothing beyond your capabilities, Velthar assured her. Raw materials from your planet, perhaps some of your more interesting biological specimens for study. Your people have an unusual approach to problem solving that might prove useful in certain situations. Dr. Carter cleared his throat. May I ask about your other technologies? Your ships, for instance. The way they bend light is fascinating. Cathara seemed pleased by the question. Our gravitic drives manipulate space-time itself to achieve faster-than-light travel. We also use similar principles for defensive fields and construction methods. Your chemical rockets are remarkably inefficient by comparison. As the demonstration continued, Jake found himself studying the Zephyrian technology more carefully. Their devices were certainly impressive, but something about them felt familiar in a way he couldn't quite explain. The energy patterns, the way they hummed, even the mathematical principles behind them seemed to follow rules he had seen before. When the Zephyrians showed off their quantum computers, Jake noticed Carter's eyes narrow slightly. The doctor was clearly thinking the same thing. There was something about these advanced technologies that didn't seem as foreign as they should have. This has been very enlightening, Rodriguez said finally. We'll need to discuss your offer, with Earth's government, of course. Naturally, Velthar replied. We understand that important decisions take time. We will remain in your system for several of your months while you consider our proposal. I'm confident that once your leaders fully understand the benefits of joining the Empire, they will make the correct choice. After the Zephyrians left, the human delegation remained in the conference room. Carter was the first to speak. Did anyone else notice something odd about their technology? He asked quietly. You mean how familiar some of it seemed? Jake replied. I was thinking the same thing. Rodriguez nodded slowly. Let's keep that observation between us for now, but I want both of you to pay close attention during future meetings. Something tells me there's more to this situation than meets the eye. As they prepared to return to their respective ships, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the Zephyrians weren't telling them everything. Their attitude of superiority seemed almost forced, as if they were trying very hard to convince the humans of something that wasn't entirely true. He made a mental note to review Earth's historical technology records when he got back to the horizon. If his suspicions were correct, this first contact might not be as straightforward as it appeared. 3 months had passed since first contact, and Dr. Amy Foster was getting tired of pretending to be impressed by Zephyrian technology. She sat in the research lab aboard Meridian Station, working alongside Cathara and 2 other Zephyrian scientists. They had been teaching her their advanced methods of energy manipulation, and every day she became more convinced that something was very wrong. The key to gravitic manipulation, Cathara was saying, is understanding how mass curves space-time. By creating artificial gravitational fields, we can push against the fabric of space itself. Foster nodded and took careful notes, but her mind was racing. Yesterday, she had spent her free time reading through old human physics journals, and she had found something troubling. In 1974, a physicist named Dr. Carl Jensen had published a paper on theoretical gravitational manipulation. The math was almost identical to what the Zephyrians were showing her now. This is fascinating, Foster said, trying to keep her voice casual. How long ago did your people discover these principles? Oh, many thousands of years ago, replied Zethmar, one of the other Zephyrian scientists. It was one of our greatest breakthroughs. It allowed us to become a true spacefaring civilization. Foster made another note. but what she wrote down was very different from what she said out loud. Dr. Jensen's paper had been classified by the military just 6 months after publication. The official reason given was national security, but Foster was beginning to suspect there might have been another motive entirely. That evening, Foster met with Pete Williams, the human engineer who had been working on adapting Zephyrian power systems. They chose a quiet bar in the civilian section of Meridian Station where they were unlikely to be overheard. "Pete, I need to ask you something," Foster said, keeping her voice low. "Have you noticed anything familiar about their technology?" Williams nearly choked on his drink. "You've seen it too? I thought I was going crazy. Their power matrices are basically giant Tesla coils with quantum field generators attached. The math is almost exactly the same as some theoretical work I studied in engineering school." "Who did the original work?" Foster asked. "A physicist named Dr. Helen Chang. She published some amazing papers on quantum energy transfer in the early 1960s, but then she just disappeared from academic circles. I tried to look up her later work for my thesis, but it was like she vanished from existence." Foster felt a chill run down her spine. "Pete, Dr. Carl Jensen disappeared too. In 1974, right after his gravitational manipulation paper was classified. I spent today trying to track down what happened to him, but there's no record of him anywhere after that date." They sat in silence for a moment, both realizing the implications of what they were discovering. Finally, Williams spoke up. "Amy, do you think they've been here before? I mean, before this first contact thing?" "I'm starting to think they've been here for a long time," Foster replied. "And I think they've been taking our best scientists." The next morning, Foster requested a private meeting with Admiral Frank Harrison, the head of Earth's Defense Forces. Harrison was a tough, practical man who had spent his career preparing for the possibility of hostile alien contact. When Foster explained her suspicions, his expression grew darker with every word. "You're telling me that our new alien friends might have been kidnapping human scientists for decades?" Harrison asked. "It's just a theory right now, but the evidence is building up," Foster replied. "I've found at least 6 cases of brilliant researchers who made groundbreaking discoveries and then disappeared completely. Each time, their work was immediately classified or suppressed." Harrison leaned back in his chair, thinking hard. "What kind of discoveries?" Foster pulled out her tablet and showed him a list. Faster-than-light communication, quantum computing, energy field manipulation, advanced materials science, neural interface technology. All of it matches up with what the Zephyrians are calling their greatest achievements. "And you think they stole these ideas from humans?" "I think they've been monitoring us for a long time, identifying our most brilliant minds and removing them before they could share their discoveries with the rest of humanity. Then they used that stolen knowledge to build their empire." Harrison was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he looked up at Foster with grim determination. "Doctor, I'm giving you unlimited access to classified archives. I want you to find every missing scientist, every suppressed discovery, every piece of technology that got buried and forgotten. If you're right about this, we need to know the full scope of what was taken from us." Foster spent the next 2 weeks digging through decades of classified files. What she found made her sick to her stomach. The pattern was everywhere once she knew what to look for. Brilliant minds making incredible breakthroughs, followed by mysterious disappearances or sudden mental breakdowns that led to permanent hospitalization. Dr. Raymond Clark had successfully demonstrated faster-than-light communication in 1943, 50 years before the Zephyrians claimed to have invented it. Dr. Martha Stone had designed the theoretical framework for distributed consciousness networks in 1955, which looked exactly like the Zephyrians' advanced AI systems. Dr. James Liu had created working quantum computers in 1967, decades before Earth's official development of the technology. Every single one of them had vanished without a trace. Williams joined the investigation and made an even more disturbing discovery. He found evidence that some of humanity's greatest technological achievements weren't human innovations at all, but reverse-engineered alien technology. The transistor, The integrated circuit, even the basic principles behind the internet, all seemed to be based on fragments of advanced technology that had somehow found their way to human researchers. They've been playing both sides, Williams explained to Foster and Harrison during a secret meeting. They give us just enough advanced technology to keep us moving forward, but they steal our best original thinkers before they can develop anything that might threaten Zephyrian superiority. It's the perfect system, Foster added. They control our technological development, making sure we never get strong enough to challenge them, while they steal our innovations to maintain their own power. Harrison stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. So what you're telling me is that humanity might actually be more advanced than we think. We've just been held back by systematic sabotage. That's exactly what I'm saying, Foster replied. And I think I know how to prove it. She pulled up a holographic display showing the research files they had recovered. If we can reconstruct even a few of these suppressed technologies, we'll know for sure. More importantly, we'll have proof that the Zephyrians have been lying to us from the beginning. How long do you need? Harrison asked. Give me 2 months and a team of our best engineers, Foster said. I think we can build working prototypes of at least 3 major technologies that supposedly belong to the Zephyrians. You'll have whatever you need, Harrison promised. But this stays completely secret. If the Zephyrians find out what we're doing before we're ready, we might not get another chance. As Foster left the meeting, her mind was already racing with possibilities. If her theory was correct, humanity wasn't the primitive species the Zephyrians claimed they were. They were the original inventors of some of the galaxy's most advanced technologies. The question now was what to do with that knowledge. She had a feeling that when the truth came out, the galaxy was going to be very surprised to learn who the real technological innovators were. But first, she had to prove it. And she had to do it without letting the Zephyrians know what she had discovered. The next few months were going to determine not just Earth's future, but possibly the fate of every species that had been uplifted by the Zephyrian Empire. The game was about to change, but the Zephyrians didn't know it yet. Dr. Amy Foster stared at the holographic display in disbelief. After weeks of searching through dusty archives and forgotten databases, she had found the smoking gun. The file was marked Project Whisper and dated 1943. Inside was a complete, technical manual for faster-than-light communication, written by Dr. Raymond Clark just months before he mysteriously vanished. Pete, you need to see this, Foster called to Williams, who was working at another terminal in the hidden research facility that Admiral Harrison had set up beneath Meridian Station. Williams walked over and whistled softly as he read the file. This is impossible. According to the Zephyrians, they invented FTL communication over 3,000 years ago. But this human document predates their supposed first contact with any other species by centuries. Foster scrolled through more files. It gets worse. Look at this. She opened another document. Dr. Martha Stone, 1955. She called it Distributed Consciousness Networks. The technical specifications are identical to what the Zephyrians demonstrated as their advanced AI systems. Where is Dr. Stone now? Williams asked, though he already suspected the answer. Officially, she suffered a mental breakdown in 1956 and was committed to an asylum, where she died 2 years later. Unofficially? Foster pulled up another file. I found her asylum records. She kept insisting that the blue people had stolen her work and were watching her. The doctors diagnosed her with paranoid schizophrenia. Williams felt sick. How many others were there? Foster had been asking herself the same question for days. Working with Dr. Nina Brooks, a historian who specialized in missing persons cases, she had uncovered a pattern that stretched back over a century. Brilliant scientists would make revolutionary discoveries. Their work would be classified or suppressed, and then they would either disappear entirely or suffer mysterious mental breakdowns. At least 37 confirmed cases, Brooks said, joining their conversation. Possibly more. The pattern is always the same. A breakthrough discovery, immediate government classification, and then the scientist either vanishes or ends up in a mental hospital claiming that aliens stole their work. But why didn't anyone notice the pattern before? Williams asked. Because it was spread out over decades and handled by different agencies, Brooks explained. The FBI handled some cases, the CIA others. Military intelligence took care of the rest. No one agency had the full picture. Foster opened another file, this one containing photographs and documents from what looked like a military operation. This is the really disturbing part. Look at these files from 1962. The images showed a crashed aircraft unlike anything in human technology. It was sleek, crystalline, and bore a strong resemblance to Zephyrian ships. But what caught their attention were the recovery logs. According to this report, they found advanced computer components inside the wreck. Foster continued. Those components were sent to Bell Labs, where they were reverse engineered into the first transistors. The official story is that Bell Labs invented the transistor, but these files tell a different story. Williams studied the technical diagrams. So some of our technology really did come from aliens, but not in the way we thought. Right. It wasn't a gift or trade. It was breadcrumbs. Just enough advanced technology to keep us moving in the direction they wanted, but never enough to threaten their superiority. Brooks pulled up a timeline on the main display. Look at this pattern. Every major technological breakthrough in human history coincides with either a crashed UFO recovery or the disappearance of a human scientist. The internet, quantum computing, advanced material science, even nuclear physics. All of it follows the same pattern. Foster felt a growing anger as she studied the timeline. They've been manipulating us for over a century, stealing our best minds, feeding us scraps of their own technology to keep us dependent, and making sure we never developed our full potential. The question is why, Williams said. What did they gain from holding us back? The answer came from an unexpected source. Foster had been running linguistic analysis on Zephyrian communications, looking for patterns or inconsistencies. What she found was startling. Their language has changed, she explained to the team. When they first arrived, their technical terminology was very formal and consistent, but over the past few months I've noticed them using more casual phrases and expressions, some of which are directly translated from English idioms. You think they're learning from us? Brooks asked. I think they've been learning from us for a very long time. But more than that, I think they need us more than they want to admit. Foster's theory became clearer as she dug deeper into Zephyrian behavior patterns. Their empire, for all its technological advancement, seemed to have a critical weakness. They were very good at refining and improving existing technology, but they showed little ability to make genuine innovations. They're not inventors, she explained during a secret meeting with Admiral Harrison. They're engineers, very good engineers, but they need someone else to come up with the original ideas. That's why they've been harvesting human scientists for so long. Harrison studied the evidence they had compiled. So humanity isn't backward at all. We're actually their source of technological innovation. Exactly. And I think that's why they're so eager to uplift us now. They're facing some kind of crisis that their engineering approach can't solve. They need fresh human thinking to get them out of trouble. The proof came when Williams successfully reconstructed Dr. Clark's faster-than-light communication device using the recovered technical specifications. The device worked perfectly, establishing instant communication with Earth across a distance of several light years. More importantly, it worked better than the Zephyrian version, with clearer signals and lower power requirements. The human design is actually superior, Williams reported. Dr. Clark understood the underlying physics in ways that the Zephyrians apparently don't. They copied his work, but they didn't really comprehend the principles behind it. Foster had similar success reconstructing Dr. Stone's distributed consciousness network. The human-designed AI system was more intuitive and creative than anything the Zephyrians had demonstrated. It could solve problems by making intuitive leaps that the alien systems couldn't match. This is incredible, Brooks said as she watched. The reconstructed AI solve a complex logistics problem in seconds. No wonder they wanted to keep this technology away from us. If humans had developed this openly, we would have surpassed them decades ago. But the most shocking discovery came when Foster found files related to the Roswell incident. Hidden in the deepest levels of classified archives, she discovered that the crashed craft hadn't been an accident at all. It had been a delivery system, designed to provide humanity with just enough advanced technology to keep them moving toward a specific goal. They've been guiding our development for over 70 years, she explained to the team. Every major breakthrough, every technological leap forward, it was all planned. They wanted us to develop in specific ways, but they never wanted us to reach our full potential. Admiral Harrison looked grim as he studied the evidence. So what's their endgame? What do they ultimately want from us? I think they want us to solve a problem they can't handle, Foster replied. Something that requires genuine innovation rather than just engineering refinement. And I think that problem is getting closer. As if to confirm her theory, Captain Rodriguez contacted the station with urgent news. Long-range sensors had detected unknown ships approaching the outer edge of human space. The vessels were using technology that was completely different from anything the Zephyrians possessed, and they were moving with obvious hostile intent. Admiral, Rodriguez reported, the Zephyrians are requesting an emergency meeting. Hi. Admiral Velthar says they need to discuss mutual defense arrangements immediately. Harrison looked at Foster and Williams. It looks like we're about to find out what the Zephyrians are really afraid of, and I have a feeling they're going to need our help more than they want to admit. Foster nodded, her mind already working on the implications. Sir, I recommend we go to this meeting, but not as the primitive species they think we are. I think it's time to show them who really invented their precious technology. Are you ready for that? Harrison asked. Foster looked at the reconstructed human technologies surrounding her, devices that worked better than their Zephyrian counterparts designed by human minds that had been stolen and suppressed for generations. Admiral, I think it's time the galaxy learned the truth about human innovation, and I think the Zephyrians are about to get the surprise of their lives. Katie Sullivan wiped sweat from her forehead as she finished installing the last component of the upgraded defense grid around Earth's orbital stations. For the past month, she had been leading a secret team of engineers, working around the clock to implement the recovered human technologies. What they had accomplished would have seemed impossible just weeks ago. Katie, the quantum field generators are online, reported her assistant, Tom Bradley. Power output is 30% higher than projected, and the energy signature is completely different from standard human tech. Katie smiled grimly. That's because it's not standard human tech. It's what human tech should have been if we hadn't been held back for 70 years. The defense upgrades were based on Dr. Carl Jensen's gravitational manipulation theories, combined with energy field work from Dr. Helen Chang. The result was a defensive system that could bend space itself around Earth's installations, making them nearly impossible to target with conventional weapons. But Katie knew the real test would come soon. The unknown ships detected at the edge of human space were getting closer, and the Zephyrians were clearly panicking about something. High Admiral Velthar had requested 3 emergency meetings in the past week, each time pressing harder for humanity to join their mutual defense agreement. Meanwhile, Dr. Amy Foster was having her own success with the reconstructed technologies. Working in a hidden laboratory on Meridian Station, she had managed to rebuild not just Dr. Clark's communication system and Dr. Stone's AI network, but also several other suppressed human innovations. The pattern recognition system is incredible, Foster explained to Admiral Harrison during their daily briefing. Dr. Lisa Park designed it in 1969, 2 years before she disappeared. It can analyze Zephyrian technology and predict its weaknesses in real time. According to the simulations, every major Zephyrian system has critical flaws that this system can exploit. Harrison studied the tactical display showing Zephyrian ship configurations. You're saying we could disable their entire fleet if we needed to? Theoretically, yes. But more importantly, the system has identified why they're so afraid of these approaching ships. The unknown vessels are using adaptive technology that changes its configuration based on whatever defenses it encounters. Zephyrian technology is too rigid to counter that kind of flexibility. Pete Williams had been working on his own project, reverse engineering Zephyrian power systems to understand their true capabilities. What he discovered was both encouraging and disturbing. Their technology isn't as advanced as they pretend, Williams reported. It's sophisticated, sure, but it's also fragile. Everything is designed to work within very specific parameters. If you push it outside those limits, it breaks down completely. What does that mean for us? Harrison asked. It means they need stable, predictable opponents. The human approach to technology is completely different. We design things to be adaptable, to work under changing conditions. That's why our reconstructed tech outperforms theirs in most tests. The breakthrough came when Foster managed to establish contact with other species within the Zephyrian Empire. Using Dr. Stone's communication network, she sent carefully disguised messages to several worlds that had been uplifted by the Zephyrians decades earlier. The responses were eye-opening. They all tell the same story, Foster explained to the team. First contact, demonstrations of superior technology, offers of protection and advancement, and then gradual absorption into the Empire. But here's the interesting part. Every single one of these species had brilliant scientists who disappeared right before the Zephyrians arrived. Dr. Nina Brooks had been tracking down similar patterns in Zephyrian contact records. It's not just humans. The Zephyrians have been harvesting the best minds from dozens of species over thousands of years. That's how they built their empire. So they're not actually innovators at all, Harrison realized. They're parasites, feeding off the creativity of other species while keeping those species dependent on them. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place when Captain Lisa Rodriguez returned from a diplomatic mission to the Zephyrian flagship. She looked troubled as she briefed the team on what she had learned. They're scared, Rodriguez reported. Really scared. High Admiral Velthar tried to hide it, but I could see the panic in his eyes. These approaching ships belong to a species called the Kethmori, and apparently they used to be part of the Zephyrian Empire. What happened? Foster asked. The Kethmori discovered the truth about their missing scientists about 50 years ago. They tried to negotiate for the return of their people and their stolen technology. When the Zephyrians refused, the Kethmori declared war and broke away from the Empire. Harrison leaned forward. And now they're coming here? According to Velthar, the Kethmori have been systematically destroying Zephyrian colonies and liberating the subject species. They've developed some kind of adaptive warfare technology that makes them almost impossible to fight using conventional Zephyrian tactics. Williams spoke up. That explains why the Zephyrians want us so badly. They need fresh perspectives, new approaches to combat that their rigid thinking can't provide. Foster was already working at her computer, analyzing the data Rodriguez had brought back. The Kethmori aren't just using adaptive technology. Look at these energy signatures. They're using principles that match some of the human research we've recovered. You think they found their own stolen scientists? Brooks asked. I think they found something even better. I think they learned how to replicate the creative thinking process that the Zephyrians have been stealing. They don't need to harvest other species anymore because they've figured out how to innovate on their own. The implications were staggering. If the Kethmori had truly broken free from the cycle of dependence that trapped other species in the Zephyrian Empire, they represented both an opportunity and a threat for humanity. Admiral Harrison made a decision that would change everything. We're going to reveal the truth, he announced. All of it. The stolen scientists, the suppressed technology, the real history of human innovation. But we're going to do it on our terms, at the moment of maximum impact. Sir? Rodriguez asked. The Zephyrians are going to call for another meeting soon, probably demanding that we join their defense against the Kethmori. When they do, we'll be ready with a demonstration they'll never forget. Foster understood immediately. We show them the reconstructed human technologies, prove that we're not the primitive species they think we are. Exactly. But more than that, we prove that their entire empire is built on stolen innovation. We expose them for what they really are in front of representatives from every species they've subjugated. Katie Sullivan had been quiet during the briefing, but now she spoke up. Admiral, I can have the defense upgrades fully operational within 48 hours. If this goes badly and they decide to attack us, we'll be ready. Good. Pete, how long do you need to prepare a full demonstration of our reconstructed technologies? Williams calculated quickly. 3 days, maybe 4. But sir, once we reveal what we can do, there's no going back. The Zephyrians will know that we're a threat to their entire power structure. Harrison nodded grimly. That's exactly what I'm counting on. For too long, humanity has been held back by lies and deception. It's time the galaxy learned what we're really capable of. Foster felt a mixture of excitement and fear as she contemplated what they were about to do. In just a few days, they would reveal that humans weren't the backward species everyone believed them to be. They were the original innovators behind some of the galaxy's most advanced technologies. But she also knew that the revelation would make powerful enemies. The Zephyrian Empire wasn't going to give up their power structure without a fight, and there were probably other species who had built their own advantages on the assumption of human inferiority. "Admiral," she said finally, "I think we should also prepare a message for the Kethmori. If they're really fighting to free enslaved species from Zephyrian control, they might be potential allies." "Do it," Harrison agreed. "But remember, everyone, once we start this, we're committed. We're not just revealing the truth about human technology. We're declaring our independence from anyone who thinks they can control or manipulate us." As the meeting broke up and everyone returned to their preparations, Foster couldn't help but think about all the brilliant human minds that had been stolen over the decades. Dr. Clark, Dr. Stone, Dr. Chang, and dozens of others had died without ever seeing their innovations properly recognized. Soon, the galaxy would know the truth, and Foster suspected that truth was going to change everything. The next few days would determine whether humanity took its rightful place among the stars, or whether the forces that had suppressed them for so long would find new ways to keep them down. Either way, the age of human subservience was about to end. The emergency alert came at Oro 300 hours, jolting Commander Jake Morrison from his sleep aboard the UES Horizon. The message from Captain Rodriguez was brief but urgent. "Kethmori fleet has arrived. All ships to battle stations. Emergency diplomatic meeting called for Aero 800. Morrison rushed to the bridge and immediately saw what had everyone so concerned. The Kethmori fleet consisted of just 12 ships, but they were unlike anything he had ever seen. Instead of the crystalline elegance of Zephyrian vessels, these ships seemed to shift and change their configuration as he watched. Their hulls flowed like liquid metal, constantly adapting their shape and structure. "Sir, the Zephyrians are requesting immediate assistance," reported Lieutenant Foster from the communications station. "High Admiral Velthar says his fleet cannot engage these ships with conventional tactics." Morrison studied the tactical display. The Zephyrian fleet had positioned itself between the Kethmori ships and Earth, but their formation looked more defensive than protective. They were clearly afraid. "Tell them we'll participate in the emergency meeting," Morrison replied, "and send a message to Admiral Harrison. It's time." 4 hours later, the main conference room on Meridian Station hosted the most important diplomatic gathering in human history. High Admiral Velthar sat at one end of the table with his senior officers, looking more worried than Morrison had ever seen him. Across from them sat the Kethmori delegation, led by a tall figure whose appearance shifted subtly as Morrison watched, as if the alien's very body was adapting to the environment around it. Captain Rodriguez stood at the head of the table with Admiral Harrison, Dr. Foster, Pete Williams, and the rest of the human team. Behind them, a series of devices hummed quietly, connected to displays that would soon change the galaxy's understanding of human capabilities. "Thank you all for coming," Rodriguez began. "Before we discuss the current crisis, there's something important that needs to be addressed. Dr. Foster?" Foster stepped forward, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "High Admiral Velthar, members of the Zephyrian delegation, I want to show you something that I think you'll find very interesting." She activated the first display showing technical specifications for faster-than-light communication. "This is the design for quantum entanglement communication, invented by Dr. Raymond Clark of Earth in 1943. Dr. Clark disappeared 6 months after publishing this work." Velthar leaned forward, his expression confused. "I don't understand. This technology was developed by Zephyrian scientists over 3,000 years ago." "Was it?" Foster asked. She activated a second display showing Dr. Martha Stone's distributed consciousness networks. This is the theoretical framework for advanced artificial intelligence, developed by Dr. Martha Stone in 1955. Dr. Stone was committed to a mental institution after claiming that blue people had stolen her work. A murmur ran through the Kethmori delegation. Their leader, who had identified himself as Commander Vethran, was studying the displays with obvious interest. Foster continued, bringing up display after display of human innovations that predated their supposed Zephyrian counterparts. Energy field manipulation, gravitational control, quantum computing, advanced materials science. Every major technology that the Zephyrians claimed as their own had been invented first by human scientists who subsequently disappeared. This is impossible, Velthar protested, but his voice lacked conviction. Your species has only recently achieved interstellar travel. You could not have developed these technologies decades ago. Could not? Admiral Harrison stepped forward. Or were not allowed to. He gestured to Pete Williams, who activated a large device in the corner of the room. The air around the device shimmered, and suddenly everyone in the room felt lighter. Williams had activated a localized gravity manipulation field, something the Zephyrians claimed was beyond human understanding. This is Dr. Carl Jensen's gravitational manipulator, built using specifications he developed in 1974, Williams announced. It works better than your version because Dr. Jensen actually understood the underlying physics. You just copied his equations. Commander Vethran spoke for the first time, his voice carrying harmonic overtones that made the words seem to come from multiple directions. So it is true. The Zephyrians have been harvesting innovation from subject species for millennia. Velthar turned to face the Kethmori commander. You will not turn these humans against us with your propaganda, Vethran. The Empire has brought peace and prosperity to hundreds of worlds. Peace built on lies, Vethran replied. Prosperity stolen from the minds of enslaved scientists. We know because we discovered the truth about our own people 50 years ago. Foster activated another display, this one showing a timeline of disappearances across multiple species. It's not just humans, she explained. Every species in the Zephyrian Empire has lost its most brilliant thinkers right before or right after first contact. The pattern is identical across dozens of civilizations. The evidence was overwhelming, but Velthar was not ready to give up. Even if some of our technologies were inspired by other species, the Empire has refined and improved them. We have created a stable galactic civilization, a civilization built on suppression and theft, Commander Rodriguez said firmly. Admiral, show them the rest. Harrison nodded to Foster, who activated the final display. This one showed real-time tactical analysis of the Zephyrian fleet, generated by Dr. Lisa Park's pattern recognition system. Every ship, every weapon, every defensive system was outlined with glowing indicators showing critical weaknesses and failure points. Your entire fleet could be disabled in under 10 minutes using principles developed by human scientists in the 1960s, Foster announced calmly. Your technology is sophisticated, but it's inflexible. It can't adapt to unexpected tactics because you never learned to truly innovate, only to copy and refine. Commander Vethran made a sound that might have been laughter. The humans have discovered what we learned 50 years ago. Zephyrian technology is powerful but brittle. It breaks when faced with genuine creativity. Velthar looked around the room, seeing his position crumbling. What do you want? He asked finally. Rodriguez stepped forward. We want the truth acknowledged. We want the return of every scientist your people have taken from Earth and every other world. We want the dissolution of the Empire's hierarchical structure and the recognition of all species as equals. Impossible. The Empire has stood for 10,000 years. It cannot simply be disbanded. It can, Vethran interjected, and it will be. Our forces have been liberating Zephyrian colonies for decades. Half your territory has already joined the Free Species Alliance. This is your chance to negotiate a peaceful transition, instead of fighting a war you cannot win. Admiral Harrison looked directly at Velthar. Hi, Admiral. Your fleet is outnumbered, outgunned, and using stolen technology that we can counter with ease. The humans are offering you a chance to salvage some dignity from this situation. I suggest you take it. The silence stretched for long moments. Finally, Velthar spoke. What guarantee do we have that the Free Species Alliance will not simply replace Zephyrian dominance with Kethamori dominance? Because we learned from your mistakes, Commander Vethran replied. The Alliance is built on cooperation between equals, not subjugation of the weak. Each species contributes what it can and retains its independence. Foster added, and because humanity will not tolerate another system based on suppression and control. We've seen what happens when innovation is stifled. We won't let it happen again. Captain Rodriguez moved to the center of the room. The choice is yours, High Admiral. You can acknowledge the truth, work with us to build something better, and help us locate the scientists your people have taken. Or you can continue to deny reality and face the consequences. Velthar looked at his officers, seeing doubt and resignation in their faces. The evidence was undeniable. The human capabilities clearly demonstrated. His empire's foundation had been revealed as built on lies and theft. Very well, he said finally. The Zephyrian Empire formally acknowledges that certain technologies were inappropriately acquired from other species. We are prepared to negotiate terms for restructuring our relationships with subject worlds. Commander Vethran nodded approvingly. A wise decision. The Alliance will be happy to work with reformed Zephyrian worlds that choose to join us voluntarily. Admiral Harrison stepped forward. Then let me make humanity's position clear. Earth formally withdraws from any agreements with the Zephyrian Empire. We claim our right to exist as an independent species, free to develop our own technology and make our own alliances. He paused, looking around the room at both alien delegations. But we're not interested in isolation. Humanity offers to share our knowledge with any species willing to treat us as equals. Our greatest discoveries come not from conquest or theft, but from the freedom to explore impossible ideas. Foster felt a surge of pride as she watched the galaxy's power structure shift before her eyes. The age of Zephyrian dominance was ending, and humanity was taking its rightful place as a leader in galactic affairs. There's one more thing, she announced. We've already sent broadcasts to every inhabited system in this sector. The truth about stolen